All right, and we are live. So, good morning to all of you out there. We want to wish you a very happy Saturday. I want to welcome you once again to another episode of the Coffee with Rhonda Show, where coaches, leaders, entrepreneurs discuss the ups and downs of creating a successful career and business. This is season 2, episode 8, and I am super excited because on today's show, we are going to talk about leading with audacious confidence. We're going to break that down a little bit, talk about what it is, what it looks like, and what it is not. And then talk about some strategies for building that leadership confidence so that you can be successful. So, before we get into the rest of our introductions, just a couple of housekeeping items. If you're out there and you're watching, don't forget to tell us who you are, where you're watching from, and we want to know what's in your cup. We have a big favor to ask of you. If you're watching live or if you're on the replay, we want you to like and share the video so that others out there can enjoy it as well. Now, as we go through our conversation, you're likely to hear something that resonates with you. When you do, don't forget to comment on it. We want to bring your comments into the conversation. It helps sort of keep us on track, keep us honest, and we also get to get your input involved as well. And then finally, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll place a link in the comments, and then we are going to go ahead and get started. So I'm very excited. My name is Rhonda Y. Williams, and I'm your host for the show. I'm an emotional intelligence strategist, a leadership coach, helping leaders shift from overwhelmed to overjoyed, from stuck to unstuck. The whole purpose is creating the consistent results that they want to show up in their personal and professional life, the results that they deserve and that they desire. So that's who I am. And this morning, let me just show you what I got in my cup. This morning, this is my cup today. It is one of my favorite cups. Be awesome today and every day. And in my cup, I have tea with lemon and ginger. So that's me and what's in my cup today. Let's go ahead and do our introductions. And I have to crack up because I am wearing red today, and I never wear red. And I'm wearing red in honor of the Red Carpet CEO who is joining us today. So let's go ahead and introduce our guests, and then Roz will come to you and Marae will come to you for the introduction. So Alicia, good morning, and welcome to the coffee table.
Good morning. Thank you so much. And thank you for wearing red for me today. I was going to say something in the green room, but I thought, oh, well, wearing red. Awesome.
So who you are, tell us a little bit about you, and then tell us what you have in your cup.
Absolutely. So my name is Alicia Couri, like you said, and I am an audacious confidence growth expert. So you refer to me as the Red Carpet CEO. That is, I always look at businesses from the standpoint of the red carpet. So anytime I work with anyone who's looking to develop a stronger brand for themselves, I look at you like, do you deserve to be on the red carpet? Does your business deserve to be on the red carpet? So that's where that came from. So I work with leaders, CEOs on helping them to develop stronger teams in their organization that are more productive and purposeful, and leading with, of course, audacious confidence to match their business goals and their talent goals. So we make sure that who they have on their team is getting them where they want to go. So either with hiring or restructuring or whatever it needs to happen in their organization. I also work with entrepreneurs to help them build a stronger brand so that they can show up, like you said, show up more powerfully in their business. So that's me. That's what I do. And also I am the co-founder and executive producer of Dramaniac TV, which is Rhonda has been on one of our shows, and I've invited her back to be on another one of our shows. But we do live streaming shows as well, weekly, from Monday through Friday, and we have shows on that platform, Dramaniac TV. So,
what you got in your cup?
So my cup, I was telling Rhonda, my cup is actually a very old cup. It's probably the oldest cup I have. And my daddy gave it to me years ago, and it's got my name on it. He went to Kansas City. He visited Kansas City. I don't know if it's Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas, but he went to Kansas City and he bought me a cup. So, so I everybody in the house knows not to touch my cup. So that's the cup I have today, and I got water with lemon in it, hot water with lemon, and that's what I got going on today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alicia. And we will be sure not to touch her cup. We will know the rules if we go to Alicia's place. Awesome. So good morning, Roz. Good morning to you. And tell everybody who you are in case they haven't been here before. And then what you got in your cup?
Well, the first thing I have, I'm at work, so I have
Tigger.
Tigger. Yes. I just wanted to show you my cup, and I got to turn around and see. I have cinnamon. I had to look and see what did I put in my cup this morning. But for those of you who may not be familiar with me for some osmosis, I don't know why, but I am Roz Jones. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I am the CEO and owner of Jacksonville's Best Caregivers, where we provide 4 levels of specialized care to your loved ones: sitter, homemaker companion, home health aide, and certified nursing assistants. All right, ladies, how do we say it? And when you can't do it all, you give us a call.
Awesome. Thank you, Roz. Thank you, Murray. Good evening to you.
Good morning to you, Rhonda. Hello, everybody. My name is Murray. I'm based in Perth in Australia. I'm the greatness engineer. So I'm an engineer in the oil and gas industry, but I'm also a coach and the founder of the Murray Telekima Global Leadership Organization, where we make sure people take control of their lives, take control of their success, and step into their greatness. And I'm very happy to be here again.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Murray, what you got in your cup?
So what I got in my cup is water. So just before going to bed, I'm going to drink heaps of water and to be able to have some good dreams.
To be well hydrated for your dreams. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get into our conversation today. And I was excited about this conversation because I think confidence is one of those topics that is always very powerful. It can be insightful. It can be allow you to take a little bit of a reflective look at your own life and the way that you're showing up in the world. You know, when I think of confidence, the first thing I did is I sort of said to myself, okay, so what is confidence? You know, if you go to Merriam-Webster, there's a lot of different definitions, but one of the definitions is a feeling or a consciousness of one's power. A feeling or consciousness of one's power. And that really stuck with me because as you think about confidence, it really is about owning that power and the way that you show up in that. The next thing I think about when I think about confidence is, you know, the work that I do is revolves around emotional intelligence. And in emotional intelligence, they've actually defined for leaders a set of 18 different competencies that leaders really need to pay attention to and be focused on in order to really show up sort of as their best selves. One of those competencies is confidence. You know, and it falls under the realm of, are you self-aware? Do you know who you are? Do you know what your capabilities are? So on this conversation today, I want to go around and talk to all of you and just ask you, what is confidence from your perspective? What does that look like? And how is it playing out in your own personal life? And so let's go and start with you, Alicia, and so that you can get us started with sort of your branding around this is audacious confidence, right? And so is that different from confidence? Is it confidence versus audacious confidence? What are they and what's the difference?
So for me, thank you so much. And that's the great definition. I have always seen confidence as that, like that missing link, that sometimes you have the skill, you have the talent, but it's that inner knowing that you can do it, that sometimes people have that they're unsure. And so it stops them or prevents them from really stepping into the possibilities of creating whatever it is that they're designed to create in their life. So for me, audacious confidence, and the reason I use that phrase, audacious confidence, it's because sometimes you need a little bit more boldness to help push you over the edge. So you need, my definition of audacious confidence is that unshakable belief in yourself that's bold and daring, that allows you to step into the possibilities of your life, that allows you to push yourself beyond the fear, push yourself beyond the limitations, to say, you know what, I can do this. And if I don't know how, I'm going to find out how. So audacious confidence is just that next level of being.
Yeah. So it's that not that you know how to do it, but the confidence that you can figure it out, right? You can navigate.
The confidence, that internal confidence in yourself that says, even if I don't know all that I need to know, I am willing to step into, I'm going to be bold enough to step into what's possible for me.
Okay.
You have to be unshakable in your belief in yourself.
Okay. And so unshakable belief in yourself, not in the situation. And I think that's really important. That's an important distinction as we go through, because there are some situations that I am very confident in, and there are other situations that I have zero confidence in the situation, but I have a lot of confidence in myself, right? For instance, I always talk about, Marae being an engineer. Don't ask me anything about engineering. I have no clue and I have no confidence, okay? But I know that if I put myself in the right situation, that I'm certainly capable of figuring it out, right? And navigating that. So thank you for that. So Marae, let's come to you. What does confidence mean to you, and how does that show up in your life?
I think for me, confidence comes back to trust, but trust in yourself. And you really need to have this self-trust in front of any situation that you have, to be able to tackle those situations. And that's where, and I think that's where the confidence is important. And, have this trust, even if it's a situation that you've never been, that you've never experienced, but you have this trust in yourself that you can either do it, you can overcome the situation. So for me, it's really about the trust that you have in yourself, and being able to step into your power. I mean, and boldly, like Alicia was saying, is that that you yes, you have those limitations, but you can do it. You can learn. You can ask people. You can find a way. And I think for me, that's confidence.
That's awesome. So confidence, again, in yourself, building on trust, right? Having to have the trust in yourself to know that you can manage it. So Roz, what is confidence for you? What does that look like, and what does it mean to you?
For me, confidence is being able to take a risk that others won't take. Being able to step out and have that authority over a particular situation. When I walk into it, I own it. When I walk into it, it's mine. So like I said, I'm taking that risk, I'm walking into it, and I own it. Or not only walk into it, but then I can walk away from it. I can walk into it and walk away from it. So that's what I feel confidence is, that, I can walk away from it and I'm okay. I'm in control of me. That person or situation is no longer in control of me. So that's my audacious confidence.
Wow. So Raj, you bring up a really good point, and being able to walk into something with confidence, or being able to walk away from it with confidence. So how often do we stay in a situation because we're not confident? Because we're not confident that if we walk away, we will be able to, handle what's on the other side, that, we will get through it okay, that whether it doesn't matter if it's a job. I know people who have been at the same job for 20 years and hate it, right? They've hated it for 20 years and they're still there. And so when you dig a little deeper, the bottom line is that they don't have the confidence that they'll be okay if they walk away from it. Right. So I find that interesting. Thank you for bringing up that point. So if this is what confidence is, the willingness to step in or step away, what is confidence not? And what I think about here is there a difference between confidence and arrogance? Because I understand that there's a very fine line. And sometimes people confuse the two, right? You can show up as being confident, and then some people might perceive that as arrogance. So let's do a quick roundtable on that. Confidence versus arrogance. What what do you see? What's the difference in those two? And why should leaders be cautious about veering into that arrogance lane? So Alicia, what's the difference between the two?
Oh, there's a huge difference. So arrogance is all about ego, and it's all about, I am not interested in knowing what you have to say about anything. I know. And so when someone who's arrogant walks into a room and kind of demands attention and demands this kind of, well, look at me, I know all of this, versus someone who has that confidence in themselves. Because a lot of time arrogance is covering over some kind of insecurity or inadequacy, and it's a fear base. Right. And so they have to prove that they are either more knowledgeable or better than, and so they don't really want to hear what other people have to say. When you're confident, you already know what you know. You're comfortable with yourself, and so it's not combative. It's more of more collaborative. And so you can see when there's a difference between someone who's self-assured and really confident in who they are. They're more relaxed. They're comfortable in their skin, versus someone who's arrogant is kind of put off. They're put offish. They're like prickly. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, we don't want to be prickly.
They don't embrace others. They don't embrace other people's opinion or other people's viewpoint. They're just, like, they want to take over the world.
Yeah. So confidence versus arrogance. Murray, what do you see in those two and the difference between those two? You might be muted.
So arrogance for me is more, when people show arrogance, they want to show that they're superior, or they've done things that you're not able to do. And really, underestimating other people, and not actually proving that they're actually better than people. And they're really looking for the attention. And really, want to put themselves there, get the attention, and it's a kind of insecurity, actually, because if you're constantly looking for attention, then you have a problem. It means that you don't trust yourself, so you need to get an approval, an external approval from people outside, and you use arrogance for that. So it's in a way an expression of fear and an expression of not trusting yourself.
Fear, insecurity, not trusting yourself, all related to if you feel the need to show up and be arrogant, right? If you're crossing that line from confidence to arrogance. Roz, what about you? What do you see in terms of the differences between confidence and arrogance?
To me, confidence is believing in yourself and you have the skills to back it. Believing in yourself and having the skills, the education, the knowledge to back it. Arrogance to me is kind of cockiness. This is my personal take on it. It's cockiness, showing off like a peacock. I'm showing it all off, but I don't have nothing to back it. I'm just strutting, and just I'm it. But I'm it with nothing to back me. Once that peacock turns around, all you see is his assets, right? You don't see anything. That's my personal definition.
Well, it's so what I hear in that is that arrogance is often lacking in substance, right? So it's all showing on the front. In Texas, they call it. All right, some of my Texas friends out there, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in Texas they say all hat and no cattle. Cattle, right? All hat and no cattle. So Terrence is out there. He says, good morning. It's an unstoppable day. Good morning, Terrence. Thanks for your comments. Collaborative and not combative, he says. And it's better to be confident and not arrogant. It's not often that people want to be around the arrogant person, right? That's the person that you're typically turning and walking the other way when they come.
Oh, yeah.
I think that how do you, because I think sometimes when folks are arrogant, that they don't really know that they're coming across as arrogant. How do you let someone know? And this is a little bit down a different rabbit hole, right? But that's okay, because that's what we do. Because now I want to know if you're interacting and you're dealing with this person who is showing up as arrogant, how do we help them? How do you help them know and see that instead of conveying confidence, they are conveying arrogance? And maybe have you ever had an experience where you've had to do that? Anybody?
I have not. And the one thing that I've learned over time is that you can't try to change someone that doesn't want to change. Mm-hmm. So if they're already not aware, self-aware that they're being arrogant and how they're showing up, and they're not actually looking to show up differently, then again, they're combative. So anything you say to them about how they're showing up, their ego will get in the way, and they will deny, and they will combat you on it. So it has to be someone who recognizes already that, people are turned off by me, or they're not really cooperating with me, or I have a challenge communicating or getting my point across to people, and they already want to find out what's going on. Then you can approach them and kind of work through that situation. But someone who's arrogant and doesn't really care, you're wasting your time and your breath. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know what experience anybody else has, but that's my experience. It's like, just you deal with the situation and you move on.
Well, it's interesting. So before we come, I know, Maria, you wanted to add to that. So I wanted to acknowledge Maria, who's out there. Hello, Maria. Thank you for tuning in again. Maria's been tuning in the past few shows. Maria said, hey, just tell them to straighten up.
Straight up. Tell them straight up.
So Maria, go ahead and try that.
You tell them they're being arrogant and they'll just fight you on it.
Well, Maria, you go ahead and try that. Let me know how that works out for you. Straighten up and fly right. And so before we do that, just a quick commercial. If you're just tuning in, you're watching the Coffee with Rhonda Show. We're having a conversation today about audacious confidence. And we took a little bit of a turn to talk about sometimes that confidence crosses a line into arrogance. And how do we handle that? So, Maria, you were going to add?
No, I think it's a difficult process, because if the person is scared and always want to show off, they're not gonna listen. They're not gonna listen, because by being arrogant, they're already putting you down. So they don't want to listen to you because they underestimate you and they will never listen. So the best way, I think, I've dealt with cases like that, is to just walk away. Don't give them the attention, because that's what they're looking for.
They want to fight. They want
the attention. I think they tone down and they take another approach. But if you give them the attention, then you're caught in the game, and that's important to know.
I think this is cracking me up. I started laughing as I read it. So Maria said, I've told people not to be so arrogant, and they haven't spoken since. So,
you see,
that didn't work out. That didn't work out so well, right? So Rob,
you just have to ignore them.
So Rob, I'm gonna give a different take in just a second. But Rob, what do you think about this person who shows up and they're showing up in this very arrogant way? What do we say? What do you do?
Some of them will take the feedback, and that's a teensy few. Look, that's this small.
That many, Roz, that many.
A teensy few.
A teensy few. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then there's some you'll have to put in timeout, and then there's some that won't change. However, we have to look at the bigger picture. They're being arrogant to me because there's something that they're trying to hide or cover. that they don't want people to know about. So, so you have to, we talk about people being arrogant, but then what are they hiding? What is it? What is it, that weak area that they don't want you to know about them? So there's some type of weakness or something that's going on. A lot of times when people are that arrogant, something is wrong. Something is wrong. So, like I said, I'm gonna go back to again. T-tiny. There's a T-tiny few.
Yeah. So
that would take the information and change it. Then others, like, Alicia, they may have to come to her class. You know what I'm saying?
The audacious are the ones that want to improve and want to change, and they recognize, that something is wrong, or that what they are thinking is confidence really is not confidence, and they have that kind of misunderstanding of what confidence is, and so that this is how they've been approaching it, and then they realize, well, maybe it's not that way. But it has to be self-recognized for the change to happen, for real change to happen.
Well, it's interesting because I wonder if the way to get them to the point of recognition is through inquiry, right? By asking questions and not saying to them, you're being arrogant, because most people are going to be defensive about that, right? Most people are not going to want to receive that very well. But if you ask maybe some questions, so we were in the last meeting, it felt a little tense to me. How did it feel to you? Did it go the way that you expected it to? I wonder what could have gone differently. Is there anything that you see that could have made it, so maybe by asking a natural set of questions and sort of allowing them to evolve and come to this conclusion on their own, because like you say, Alicia, once they come to the recognition, then they are more likely to be open to change and want to accept some of the feedback. But just telling them, especially for a person who's already arrogant, probably is not going to work very well. Although Maria said it did work out well because she doesn't have time for arrogance. So,
but it depends too on the situation. If this is someone you have to deal with on a regular basis, then you have to make it work, and you have to be able to come to some kind of agreement. If it's someone who you just met and it's like, I don't have time for this, just walk away. So if you are in a relationship, and I'm talking about like a work situation, an environment where you have to be around this person all the time, you can't just walk away from it, and you have to be able, so like you're saying, Rhonda, ask questions and really engage with them. So it depends on how much it's really affecting your life and how much you care. How much do you care that this person evolves, and how much do you care that the situation is better, and how much do you care that your comfort isn't as disrupted every time this person comes into the room. So you just met someone and they're arrogant. I mean, how much do you really care whether or not, because you're probably not gonna see them again. So
right.
It just depends on what the relationship and situation is. Really.
Then you can easily remove yourself from the situation that way. Let me ask this question. Is there a risk for women who show up confidently? Is there any sort of gender dynamic at play when women show up very confident in their ability and who they are? Because for me, sometimes I think when you do that, you get labeled. They might call you the B word or whatever, right? So what do you guys think? Is there a risk for women who show up really confidently? And then how do we navigate that? Number one, how do we be aware of it and knowing that it's possible that others may take your confidence and mislabel it? And then number two, how do you handle and navigate that? Roz, I'm gonna do a reverse roundtable this time. Roz, I'm gonna come to you first.
I'm gonna say, come to me last.
Look at Roz's face. She's like, I knew you were coming to me first.
Dog, I was hoping she would come first, but okay. I'm the secret square. Okay, so anyway, I did, in the last 5 or 6 months, I took a DISC assessment. And so with the DISC assessment, the man said, well, do your employees know how to treat you? And I said, treat me? I said, do they know how to treat me? He said, do they know what you expect? I said, yeah, they better. Yeah, they know. So, but he said, but do they know how to treat you so that there's not any type of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like conflict or
Conflict, or they don't enjoy their job. And I said, no. I said, but can you help them with that? So he sat down and did, some trainings with them. This is the type of person Roz is. This is why she's A-type. This is why she pushes so hard. And when she pushes this hard and this happens, this is how you need to respond to her. When she asks you this is how you need to respond. And you'll get better feedback from her. It's made a huge difference.
wow.
Huge difference. Huge difference. Some of them have stayed and some of them have left. But the whole thing is that it's okay. It's okay. Because, they realized that it was not a good match. And, everybody's not a good fit. Just like the O.J. Simpson is not a good fit. We got to quit. So you got to quit. You got to go somewhere else.
If the glove does what was it? If the glove
don't fit, you must have quit.
You must have quit. That's a great analogy. So because there are people that don't always fit in with the the equation. But so Marae, you are at this organization or running this business, and you show up in your full power and confidence, and then there are people who take that the wrong way. Is that a real thing, or is that just in my head that it might be because you're a woman? And then how do you navigate that?
It's a real thing. I've been working in male-dominated environment all my life, and you can see that when you come with confidence, the first contact with men is sometimes very challenging, because they don't expect women to challenge them, and for them they have a certain. They represent some women in a certain way, and when you get out of this box that they have in their head, it's a challenge. So the communication is very important. And one thing that I used to do when I came into those situations is to try to engage the person outside the work environment, so that we can have a proper, connection, communication, and so that they understand, what person I am and how I function, how I communicate. But you need to have, you need to put a lot of effort, because there's some stereotype, and most of the strong women are actually quite challenged. Because they expect women to basically just always stay quiet and listen and don't come up with their idea and trust themselves and really, come boldly on the table. They just want, you to sit there. And so you basically have to educate them to define the rule of engagement and upfront, because otherwise it's a difficult situation.
I love that. So Stephanie's out there. Stephanie says, "Hey sisters, hey Steph, thanks for tuning in." It is really interesting that sometimes you have to manage what others expect. They have this idea, and sometimes, Alicia, I think sometimes it's just as difficult from other women too. It's not just that men have a hard time with that. Women also have a hard time with a strong female presence sometimes, because they're used to that from a man, but they're not always used to that from a woman, and that's when we start to get labeled. So Alicia, what do you see in this realm?
My turn. So I've been taking notes. I've been writing down notes. So first of all, women cannot show up like men, right? We can't show up confidently like a man shows up. We can't use masculine energy to display our confidence, because I think that's when a lot of men start feeling threatened or something, like if we're trying to show up the way they show up. So it's about owning our feminine energy and our feminine confidence and showing up as we would in our authenticity. So when we show up authentic and confident, it in my experience, for men, it's not as threatening as if I showed up in masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I appreciate what Marae said about, that she is in male dominated industry. So she gets that male bias all the time. And she takes it outside of the workplace to build that relationship so that she can be a strong woman in her feminine energy and not try to show up like a man would show up.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing that I wanted to say about that, so when we show up as strong women in situations, especially in male dominated situations, I think it can be less threatening if we're not showing up like a man would show up, but wearing women's clothing. The other thing, when you talk about other women being threatened by it, they have their own insecurities. So if you show up a certain way and they have insecurity about their own confidence and about how they show up, they will start trying to label you and they will start saying all kinds of stuff about you. And the one thing I actually, like, I do these tips every week, Audacious Confidence tips. And my tip this week was, your opinion is none of my business. What you think of me is not my business. How you perceive me is not really my business, because I'm going to show up how I show up. I'm going to be confident in who I am. I know who I am. If you see me as a bitch, then that's on you. You're not taking the time to get to know who I am, and you want to label me and you want to say whatever you want to say about me. It doesn't change who I am.
Right.
It doesn't change me. And I'm going to love you and I'm going to be the same way to you, however you are. So that's your choice. It's your choice to label me however you want to label me. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to change who I am or show up differently to make you more comfortable with me. And then everyone has their biases and everyone has their choice. So it's really up to us as women to be authentic in who we are. And to lead with love and lead with compassion and lead. We're talking about leading with audacious confidence. When you can really fully love and accept yourself and you can lead with who you are and your love and your compassion and your confidence, then why should it matter what someone else who's not willing to even get to know who you are, what they think? What is it?
Really great, really, really great points, because the ability to lead effectively will require us to be able to deal with all of these different situations, whether it's biases or, someone is, quote, being unfair. What did my mother say? Who said life was fair, right? So fairness has zero to do with it, almost like Tina Turner said about love, right? What's love got to do with it? What's fairness got to do with it? It has nothing to do with anything. And so if we're showing up that way, looking for that, wanting that, then we're so focused on that we're not focused on leading in the way that we need to lead. We need to work on our communication. We need to be authentic. We need to have that compassion. And I love that you talked about that feminine energy, because I think that that's so important. Precious is out there. Good morning, Precious. Thank you for tuning in. She says, I love that. Your opinion is none of my business. Absolutely. We cannot get wrapped up into that. And then she says, you speak, Miss Alicia. And she shared the video. That's important. But she says our authenticity is what attracts those divinely connected to us.
Yes.
Yes.
So, I think that's a really important point. Everyone is not designed for your message. Everyone is not going to be
good.
accepting of you, and everyone is not going to jump on the bandwagon because you show up and say, hey, I got the goods, I'm here. It's okay. You got to
story about that. Really,
I love that. That's a mic drop.
But a few weeks ago, I know it was the anniversary of my first book signing, and one of the tools that I use is the alter ego. To help people really step into the best possible them, help them to create that alter ego. And I had my own alter ego. And when I did my first book signing 4 years ago, I was in my alter ego. And 4 years later, I actually, instead of it being my alter ego, it became my reality. So I did a post with the two pictures side by side, and I said, who would have thought 4 years ago I was stepping on stage as the beauty queen? That was my alter ego. And 4 years later, I actually got crowned, Mrs. United States Woman of Achievement. So that was the post. And someone said that I was, what she said, I was shallow and I was,
Wow.
what was the words? I was shallow and self-aggrandizing. During this pandemic, during all this, how could you be so shallow and self-absorbed and self-aggrandizing? And you're what's wrong with women, and you give women a bad name. She was going off on me about how I probably teach women, if they stop paying me, I don't help them anymore. And I'm what's wrong with these gurus and all these women that talk about low self-esteem and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what did I do to you? I said, I don't know who hurt you or who took your money, but you didn't even take the time to know me, and you just threw up all over me in my post. I'm like, really?
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, I'm sorry that you're hurt. I really am. But if you would just take the time to get to know who I was, maybe you'd have a different opinion. But, I apologize. I wish you well. And I wish that that you get whatever closure you need in your life, and that you have a long, happy, healthy life.
So Abriana says that she was going through something personal. And it's so interesting because it's a really good point that those people that are showing up as that arrogance, or they are passing judgment on you, it is typically more of a reflection of them than it is of you. So for us, I think one of the confidence factors is for us to know that we don't have to engage in that, right? We don't have to respond to every comment. We don't have. Now Stephanie says, oh, I would have blocked her. Oh. Stephanie said, get off my page. You are done, honey. But you know what? Yes, you can block her. But you know what? You also just don't have to respond. That is a choice that you get to make. Just like
I blessed her. I just said, I thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. You don't know me, but I bless you anyway.
Yeah,
that's Rhonda, it could have sometimes us not knowing what we do or what we say may trigger some type of emotion in somebody. And it's nothing because of you posted, it's because they have not dealt with that issue. I just want to bring that out because sometimes people look at Facebook and they lash out. They're like, just like you said, Alicia, I haven't done anything to you. I don't even know you. But it triggers something back here in here.
That's why I said someone must have hurt you. And, that's not who I am.
So Precious has a really good comment out there. She said, just had this experience with my ex, and it came down to me not being secure in me in that situation. That realization made me shift internally, and I was elevated as the result. Yay, good.
Yay, Precious.
That's really nice, because we have to be. So this is actually a perfect segue for us to shift into strategy for building confidence. Because if we are in these leadership positions, it is important for us to show up confidently, but not arrogantly. So what are some strategies and some ways to show up? So Stephanie says, right, sounds like she was triggered and displaced the emotion. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So how do we build confidence in ourselves as leaders? And especially knowing that there's internal confidence and then there's situational confidence. We talked about that at the beginning. So how do we show up confidently as leaders, and how do we build that confidence in ourselves? And Marae, I'll start with you.
The main thing is, we've talked about it today, is to be authentic. I mean, don't reinvent yourself. Don't try to fit in. You are who you are, and you just have to, to go out there and show who you are, and communicate. Communicate who you are. Communicate with people. Make them understand exactly, your values and your way of functioning. And I'm always talk about putting the rule of engagement, because that's what's gonna, create the bridge between you and people that you lead. Because if you don't do that, then things are going all over the place. So that's an important factor to have, and really, position yourself as a role models and reach out to people, understand, because I mean the situation that Alicia went through, I mean, she didn't know the person, but if it's somebody in your team, you know that there's a problem behind. So you need to understand, you need to sit down with this person to understand what are the personal issue that this person have, and then position yourself as somebody who's going to lead this person out of this fiasco or this emotion, those emotions that they are going through. So they are, I mean, different way of showing up as confident. You have to show that you care. I think that's a way also of showing that you're confident, and but also making sure that you take some risk as well in everything that you do, and to be able to grow as a leader and bring with you your team or your people who are following you.
Absolutely. I love that because it's so important that you touched on something really important, and that is taking risk. In my second book, The Dream Life Roadmap, I did a whole chapter on risk because it's so important. So I look at confidence as an account, and it has a balance. And you can actually add to your confidence account by building and doing activities that will create deposits into your account. We just have to know what creates a deposit and what creates a withdrawal, right? What creates a deposit in your confidence account versus what causes a withdrawal from that account. And I'll talk about that a little bit in just a second, but thank you for bringing that up. So we got a couple of comments out there. Precious says, understanding is key in all get and understanding. Great point, Miss Murray. And then Stephanie's out there and said she agrees that it's important to be ourselves, but when we heal and grow, we are reinventing ourselves. Yeah, through the process and transforming ourselves through the growth. Thank you so much for the conversation. She says, "Come on, Miss Rhonda, confidence account." I love that. Absolutely, I'll talk about that a little bit more. So, what are some strategies? Alicia, that people can engage in to increase their confidence and raise that confidence balance in their account?
So one of the important questions to always ask yourself, either going into a situation or when you come out of a situation, if you're going in, you can ask yourself, who do I want to be in this situation? How do I want to show up? How do I want people to receive me in this situation? And have this kind of prepare yourself ahead of time. If you're coming out of a situation, you can ask, who am I being? Even through the situation, you can ask yourself, like, if your authenticity or your confidence starts to slip, who am I being in this moment? Am I being me, or am I being someone else to make everyone feel comfortable? Who am I being? Like, always be aware, always be conscious of who you're being and how you want to show up. So that's one thing. Really know how you want to show up in a situation. And then I did talk about the alter ego. That's something that you can really, really develop for yourself, and it gets you to being the best you that you can be. And the alter ego is not creating some fantasy person, but it's really looking at who you want to show up as. And if you don't yet have the confidence to show up as that person, you create, like Lady Gaga created this other person that you can show up as. And she said that it gave Stephanie the permission to be who she is. It gave Stephanie permission to show up braver and bolder than she always did, because she was so insecure about herself. So sometimes you need to create that person that you said, you know what, if I could do anything in my life, this is what I would do, and this is how I would be. And then just step into that. When you're in a situation that you don't know how to be, step into that person. So that's my 2 cents.
I love that. I love all of that, because you can creating something and then growing into it and then allowing it yourself to become transformed by it. It's very, very powerful. And Lady Gaga is such a great example of that. Look what her showing up that as Lady Gaga did for her life, her confidence, her everything.
Yeah. And as an actor, she shows up as Stephanie, and she said that gave her permission to now go after the things that she really wanted to do, but didn't have the confidence to do before.
I love that. So Precious says, literally step into it, visualize it, become it in your head before you are manifesting that on your external world and in your external life. That's very cool. Stephanie said, yes. And then Precious says, who am I being in this moment? This is good stuff. So Roz, what do you think? What are some strategies that we can have as leaders to build our self-confidence in these different situations?
Well, my alter ego, I want to share the name of my alter ego lady. Her name is Jaquita Alize Jenkins Johnson.
Wait. What? Say that again. I thought you for a second said supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Her name is
Jaquita
Alize
Jenkins
Johnson.
Wow,
Yeah.
I can't even pronounce this.
And what does Jaquita Alize Jenkins Johnson do?
Yeah. So when she shows up, and it's totally different than what you see here. Trust and believe. It's a whole nother person that you all have never met.
Do we want to meet her?
Can we meet her today?
Dark alley.
We might be scared to meet her. My dear friend Jennifer's out there watching. She says, I love Roz. That is awesome. Oh my gosh.
But you know, look, Precious says I'm done with Jaquita Alize Jenkins Johnson. But the whole thing is, one of my things is having good people in my circle to help me with my confidence. Not only to help me with my confidence, but to correct me in the areas where I'm wrong.
Right.
So I don't want anybody in my circle. And Precious S. Brown, as you see her name on there, is a friend of mine. And Precious S. Brown, she's in my group, and she corrects me. Miss Rosa, no, we can't do this, we can't do that. And she knows sometimes that Jaquita shows up, and she lets Jaquita hang out, and then she brings Jaquita in. But we have to have that time where it's, as I tell people, sometimes it's a no Jesus zone. We just have to let it out and let it go.
No Jesus zone. Oh my gosh. We need to talk more about that in the green room. I want to get the scoop on what's going on in the no Jesus zone. Oh my goodness.
Some Jesus moments, but now there's a no Jesus zone. All right.
No, it's wonderful. That's really great, Roz, and such great tips. I hope you guys out there have a pen and you've taken some notes, because there's some good stuff going on right here. As I went through, one of the first things we talked about for building confidence is taking risk, right? Because when you take risk, what you do is you tell your psyche, hey, you took a risk and you handled it. You navigated it. Yes, you did.
You're still alive.
We are all in the no Jesus zone now.
We're in the no Jesus zone now. Look, Terrence is out there. He says, bye. Everybody. Oh my goodness. So handling your stuff, right? When you handle your business and you can do that, then that builds confidence. And then you can reflect on that, journal it, write it down, because you know what? Sometimes we're moving so fast that we don't take time to acknowledge the wonderful things that we are doing, the way that we're showing up and getting positive results. Write it down, create a success journal. So when you start to feel your confidence waning, I want you to whip out that success journal and look at all the great and wonderful things so that you can build yourself back up, so that you have an opportunity to reflect on the great things that you're doing. So those are some things. Jennifer says, what a great group of strong women. Wonderful way to start Saturday. Thank you so much, Jennifer. That is awesome. Precious says she agrees. But here's one other thing. And this is a confidence depleter. So we talk about your confidence account, building your balance and depleting your balance. One way that you will deplete your confidence balance is by avoiding challenge, by avoiding conflict, by running away from it. Because remember, what's the message you're sending your psyche is, I can't deal with this. I can't handle this. No, we're just going to back away. We're just going to hide from it. We're just going to evade the whole thing. When you do that, you cannot build your confidence. So there are ways that you go about building that confidence account and that confidence balance. Step into it, own your power. And you know what? Own when you make the mistakes. You don't got to beat yourself up about it. It just is what it is, right? Oops, didn't do that well. Shaquita Alizé would probably
Johnson.
That's a thing for her, right? So absolutely. So conflict builds character. So let's start our final round as we get ready to do our wrap up. We want you guys to go through and share any final thoughts that you have on confidence, leading with confidence, showing up with confidence, avoiding that arrogance, and any final thoughts and strategies that you have for the folks out there that are listening and tuning in. And then I'm going to come to you last, Alicia, so that you can also share some information on your free gift that you have out there. So one more second before we do that, if you have not liked the video, if you have not shared the video, please do so. You're watching the Coffee with Rhonda show. We're having this amazing conversation about building your confidence. And don't forget, there's some Coffee with Rhonda gear out there, and you can represent by going to coffeewithrhondastore.com and get a t-shirt or a little tank top and, rock the gear out there, represent. So anyway, your final thoughts as we go around and get ready to wrap up the show. Marae, we'll go backwards here on my screen. Let's start with you.
So my final thought is to really encourage people to take more risk and do something that you've never done. Each day you do something that you've never done so that you can build your confidence. And even if you fail, you've always learned something. And again, learning something builds your confidence as well. So either you succeed, either you fail, you learn something and you build your confidence. So try to push your limit, and it's going to help you build your confidence.
Awesome. Stephanie's out there. She said, damn right, Rhonda, show up to build self-confidence. That's what we're talking about, right? You got to show up. You got to go through the motions. You got to do it. You got to step into it. Miss Roz, what are your final thoughts?
Well, here's a couple of my thoughts from myself and Jaquita. We when you're building, so far as building your confidence, I just told somebody a little while ago, don't lower your standards to please others. Don't lower your standards to please others. And we're not perfect, but we're priceless. So we have to know our value, which helps with our confidence. And we also have to know that we don't have to lower our standards. My grandmother used to tell me, even a hooker has standards. Everybody has standards. And I'm done. Alicia, you're next, darling.
Okay, hold on. Let me let you catch your breath, because Jennifer says, agreed. Keeping a journal regarding successes is so important. We're so busy every day. We forget the risk we take. Reading about my successes at a later date is so helpful on my down days. Terrence had mentioned that too. He said success journals are really good tools, right? We got to work with it. We got to use tools. Don't keep it all in your head. And I hope I've given you a minute to catch your breath there, Miss Alicia.
Yes, ma'am. You sure have. So I'm going to talk about the gifts that I have for you, as well as how you can connect with me and stay in touch. But two things that I wanted to share before I did that is forgiveness. Marae talked about that. Self-forgiveness. Be able to give yourself a break sometimes. Say, you know what? I love you and I messed up. I'm sorry. And it's okay. Let's move on. So being able to forgive yourself and not beat yourself up about mistakes. That's one thing. The other thing is to take inventory of what I refer to as your spiritual tags, your talents, your assets, your gifts, and your skills. When you start taking inventory of who you are and what you got, that raises your confidence level too, because when you know what you got, your talents, list them, your assets, list them. And assets, are, you can name anything as assets. You know, I'm short. I call that an asset because I can fit into all kinds of places. I can get a seat on the bus, right? Your assets, your gifts, and your skills. And sometimes things that you don't see as assets, they really are assets. You just have to flip the script on it and see it as an asset instead of a liability. So take inventory of yourself. And those are my additional tools that I wanted to give you. So how you can get in touch with me, you can go to alicia360.com, ALICIA 360.com, and you can connect with me. You can look at my website. You can connect with me on all social media there. You can look me up. You don't have to Google me. Just go to Alicia 360. It's all there, everything. And then I do have a gift. If you go to alicia360.com, it'll pop up there. It is actually an assessment that you can take for free. It is the Audacious Confidence assessment to kind of assess where you are and your confidence level. And after you take that assessment, one of two things is going to happen. I'm not quite sure because I had a gift there that was the 7 Secrets to Audacious Confidence, but I was recently on a summit. And I was talking about personal branding. So it might either be a personal branding roadmap that you'll get, or you'll get the 7 Secrets to Audacious Confidence. Surprise! One of those.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So where do they need to go again?
They can go to alicia360.com or audaciousconfidence.com.
Wonderful.
Way they can take that survey and get the free gift.
Thank you so much for sharing that free gift. And, for me and my final comments, I just think about understanding that confidence is yours to own. And it is an internal renewable resource, right? There is no reason why we can't build our confidence. It's something that's inside of us. We just have to take the steps necessary in order to lean into it, in order to do that. So
one thing, I know you're wrapping up, but one thing is, a misconception is you're not born with confidence. You're not born with it. You have to develop it. You have to build it. Some people look at other people and say, oh, well, I'm not confident like that person, but you can get there. So don't think that you can't build your own confidence.
Absolutely. And that goes to that point that I was making, that it is an internal renewable resource, right? You can build it, you can own it, you can develop it, you can strengthen it. And to that point, you don't have to be confident in everything, right? Because it's not really about the external event or the thing. It really is about you and you owning your power. My sister and I had this funny conversation because I am dating, right? Whoever thought I would be dating? But anyway, so I'm dating, right? I was married for 25 years. I never thought I'd have to date again, but there I am dating. Anyway, my sister would say, oh, those guys, what they want and blah. You know what? I don't care. I could not care less what they want, because it is all about me and what I want, and nothing's happening that I don't want to happen. So I am confident in that, right? I can step into that. It is really understanding who I am, what I want, how I want to show up in a relationship, in a professional setting, at work. And it's taken some time, but I absolutely now get that. And I encourage everyone out there, if you are not confident, then really go and take that assessment that Alicia offered and really hone in on where you can begin to build your confidence. So we have had a blast today. Precious says, you better know it. It's all about you. Precious, it's all about you, girlfriend. So wait, we don't have to talk. Oh, yes, Stephanie, we must talk, dear. We definitely must talk. So I want to thank everybody for being here on the show today. Alicia, thank you for joining our coffee table. You were amazing. So wonderful to have you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you are absolutely welcome back at the coffee table. Marae, Roz, you guys rock. You're awesome as always. If you are out there and you think you have the right stuff to join our coffee table, you can instant message any of us. Now, ladies, hold up your mugs. This will be our post-production shot. I got to get in the light here because I look like I'm in the dark with a big smile. Yay! Awesome. That'll be our post-production shot. Thank you, everyone. Please share the video, like the video, subscribe to our YouTube page as we continue to share information that we hope is helpful for you. And we laugh a whole lot while we're doing it. All right. For all of you out there, we'll see you back here next week. Same time, same station. Jennifer says cheers. Yay. And then for all of my guests and co-hosts, stay tuned for just a minute. Bye, everybody.
Bye.